This podcast shares personal stories and professional insights, but it's not a substitute for medical advice or therapy. If you're looking for support, do speak to someone qualified and trained in child development or special needs care. You'll find the full disclaimer on the screen and in the show note.
Right, welcome to another episode of Adapting Together podcast. My name is Cindy. Joining with me today, I have another two co-hosts, Kevin and also Carmen.
Hello.
Right, some of the parents might have children who are bright and curious and full of ideas, but when it comes to reading, things feels really hard. For example, your kid might have problems knowing about letters, learning about letters, some letters that are especially very identical in shape. For example, P and Q or B and D. Letters seems to jump everywhere over a page. Sometimes some children might experience challenges in terms of writing. Writing tasks can be extremely hard for them. And if you are a parent or teacher who always feels like reading and writing is extremely difficult for your child, this podcast will be for you today. So today joining us, we have our literacy specialist, Rachel. Thank you for being here with us today, Rachel.
Thank you. Thanks, Cindy.
Rachel is a specialist who works closely with children with dyslexia and also with children with autism. Welcome you to our podcast again.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Thanks.
We are so happy to see you and have you.
Thank you.
And we are delighted to know that you have watched most of autism as well.
I have.
Can you also share with us and with our audience a little bit of your professional background?
Sure. So my name is Rachel. So as Cindy mentioned, I teach literacy. So what I do is I teach reading, writing, and also spelling. So I do work with mainly with dyslexic children, but I also teach children with other needs as well. So autistic children, for example, as well. So basically, most of my lessons are Orton Gillingham based. But again, depending on the child, method is just a method. The delivery wise is up to me. So that's what I do. I teach them essentially reading, writing, and spelling.
Yes. I knew Rachel, I think, easily about 10 years ago. More than that. Yeah. So we have a few opportunities where my kids actually majority diagnosed on the spectrum, and some of them also come with a reading problem. And unable to identify alphabets and all these things at a very young, at around, not too young, because we know that there is a certain age, right, for them to be ready to start to recognize and all these things, the readiness for that. So we noticed that, hey, they have problem, and somehow we just like know each other, and that's where she came into the center and helped. And we noticed that a lot of improvement in our kids after they went through the intervention with you. I think that is something that we would like you to share more today to inspire our parents and tell them that there is hope in bringing all this reading skill again, although our kids could be on a spectrum or not, or they diagnosed dyslexic, but this is actually you always tell me that actually can help,
mitigate one. All effects can be mitigated.
Okay. So maybe some of the audience maybe never heard about dyslexia before. Maybe you can explain a little bit about.
Okay, so for dyslexia, so basically dyslexia is under the specific learning disorder umbrella, SLD umbrella, right? So you've got dyscalculia, you've got dysgraphia and all that. But so for dyslexics, they have average to above average intelligence. It's just that they're reading, writing, and spelling not up to par. Then that sort of triggers alarm bells. And you've got some notable figures. You've got like Lee Kuan Yew, Richard Branson, Oprah Winfrey, Tom Cruise, people like that who have got dyslexia. Yes, even Lee Kuan Yew. He has admitted that in one interview before. So yes, they have above average intelligence. It's got a strong genetic component, meaning that you see it running in families. So so it's a language processing problem. They've got difficulty in forming or using sounds to form words. So that's essentially the main issue or challenge with dyslexia.
Okay. In your experience, how does dyslexia present itself differently in children on the spectrum?
Okay.
Autism spectrum.
So basically, the difference between dyslexia and autism is this: the core challenge for the dyslexics would be again reading, writing, and spelling, right? Because it's a language processing phonological issue. Whereas for the core challenge for the autistic kids would be social and behavioral, right? So different core challenges. Where it overlaps is that both may not like reading and writing, okay? And both may prefer familiarity. So they like the same books, or they just want to stick to the same magazines or same materials, whatever it is, okay? But the core challenges are different lah. But having said that also, there are some autistic children with dyslexia, but the numbers we do not know. So studies say that maybe 15-20% we do not know for sure, okay? Because we don't have the studies that can substantiate this what do you call that, number. Because if you would see all the studies, right, they would say SLD plus autism, but they don't exactly say dyslexia plus autism. So we do not know for sure.
Okay. Right. So for parents who first, like new parents who find out that maybe their kid has a little bit of challenges in reading, spelling, right? And when they come to you, how normally like the first assessment will look like?
Okay. So the first assessment, so when they come to me, a lot of them have already been assessed. Okay. By either a developmental psychologist or a developmental doctor.
I see.
So most of them would already have an assessment done. Okay, but anyway, when they first come to me, I'm not so much looking at what condition they have. What is it? Is it ADHD or is it dyslexia or is it autism? I'm not so much looking at that. When they first come to me, I assess for ability, what they already know, what I can work on. What are their strengths, what they like, what they enjoy doing, even like the hobbies that they have. So that is what I assess for. Of course, then you got to go back to, is there a phonological awareness? Do they know the letter sounds? Do they even know the alphabets? So I start from there. Okay, and if they do know, okay, can they blend the sounds together? Can they form words? Can they read? Can they comprehend? So that would be the first assessment lah.
Right.
But of course, the first assessment also entails talking a lot to parents.
I see, like an interview session.
Yes, to see what's the aspiration for the child? What is it they're looking for? What are the core challenges that they're experiencing and what they hope to see changes to?
Normally, how old the parents, will actually have this awareness and normally come to you and seek help?
6-7 years old. When you're just about to embark into primary school,
right?
Then they realize, how come my child is not reading and writing, So yes, 6, 7, I've got 7 to 9 as well, years old. Yes.
Any signs that the parents can particularly focus on? Like if I catch all these signs, then maybe it's a time for the at risk that I need to visit a pediatric and then come to you.
So for children with learning challenges, let's just put it as learning challenges. So a lot of kindergartens we know, they are already teaching academics. So it's no longer play and fun.
Correct.
So before primary school, they would already then expect you to at least write a simple sentence. Okay? So because day one of primary nowadays, they expect you to write your name and really start writing simple sentences. Okay? That's what the primary teachers are now expecting these days. So all along the way, if you go to preschool or a kindergarten, your teachers in that school would have already picked up certain issues, and they would need to highlight to the parents, okay, your child is not reading, or writing at his age or his or her age level. Okay, so that would already then alert you to maybe look further into it. Okay, so then what you need to do is probably conduct an assessment at home as well. So you yourself sit down with your child, do some reading. Okay, I'm sure some parents, they would sit down with their child to do reading and writing, right, at home. So just take out a book that's appropriate to the child's level or age, get the child to read or write, and then if you notice that, hey, how come my child is not sort of reading and writing according to the age level, talk to some people, probably get some assessments done. There's a wealth of material on the internet as well, do some reading online. And if it really shows, and after intervention by the teachers at school or even intervention by the parents at home, and still nothing progresses, then you should seek for further help.
Yeah, so I can say that normally a school will slowly, gradually introduce alphabet is at the age of like say 3, right? Yeah, 3. Then normally, according to developmental peak, they will say that at least 2 years, these kids is actually being physically in school and exposed to alphabets for a period of time.
Correct.
Yeah, because we cannot say that if a kid's never been to school and at the year of 6 or 7, we will want them to read. It's impossible. Basically.
Impossible. They're a blank slate.
Yeah. So for developmental peak, they will say that at least 2 years they actually went through a proper school where they actually exposed to all the alphabets, numbers, 100%. And all these things. And yet, by the age of 5, right, if it's still not catching it right, then I think that will be something a red flag.
Parents should take note.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So just now Carmen say about exposure and maybe 1 to 2 years of exposure, then it's fairer to the child for
100%.
us to determine whether this is a cause for concerns or not, right? But I was just thinking, what if, let's say, the child, after some 1 to 2 years of exposure in kindergarten or preschool, let's say the child can point like, okay, this is tomato, this is potato. But how do we tell that this is actually recognizing the word, but not just recognizing like picture, like looking at the spelling as a visual or drawing, that kind of recognizing.
Okay, so first of all, children are very attracted to visual stuff, right? Visual things, okay? That's actually their first sort of entry point to learning, right? So that's why we have picture books for babies, So yes, but then they would have then been exposed to the word and the picture. I would assume that now the word is under the picture, right?
Yes.
Try removing that visual cue.
Yeah, so it's without the picture. But
without
just
the picture.
Maybe the child recognize the spelling P-O, how to spell potato? P-O-T-A-T-O. And then just that thing is like the whole thing is like a picture that...
Okay, I understand your question. There's nothing wrong with it.
But does it mean he can read?
Yes.
Oh.
You know, that was how we learned our language last time. Do you remember? I think none of us here in this room learned phonics. Did you learn phonics?
Sure, I don't.
You didn't?
Yeah, I didn't.
I did. Maybe.
You did?
Different generation.
Oh, sorry.
Rachel.
Can you edit this?
This one cannot edit.
Our generation never learned phonics, okay?
Same.
It was all word recognition, right? That's how we learn. We recognize word as a whole.
APPLE.
Exactly. We learned word as a whole. Phonics is fairly new in Malaysia. Okay? Phonics fairly new in Malaysia. So then it begs the question, so is phonics a must? Not a must, but it's beneficial to know. Why is it good to know? So that you have something to fall back on. It's a good strategy. It's a good approach to know. So for example, dyslexic children, very poor memory skills, right? So, I mean, your word bank over here is only limited. It's very limited. So what does he or she have to fall back on? Phonics skills. So it's not a must, it's a very good thing to fall back on. It just makes reading and writing a lot simpler and not so stressful. Yeah. So learning word as a whole is not wrong. Yeah, it's really not wrong. Some people learn that they actually learn that way. Yeah, we don't force phonics on all. Yeah.
So meaning kids like that, I think what we actually have many kids on the spectrum, they actually memorize words as a whole, and for us that is considered able to read.
Correct.
Yeah, that's considered able to read. Just only later on, a lot of time, these children maybe has more problem in spelling because they see as a whole and then they don't. And when you break it down again, they might spell with the first letter and end with certain letter, but in the middle there's a lot of mistake maybe. Yeah. So, but that's considered kids can read.
Yes.
So that's considered a reading skill, the basic one.
Yes, it's definitely a reading strategy for them. Some people will sort of fall back on their memory. So a lot of kids on the spectrum, actually, they have very strong memory skills. They can remember things very well, even words very well. So yes, so they fall back on it. Okay. So we don't push phonics to them.
Yeah. So Rachel, I think I after so many years working with you, I really like the idea of you always teach the parents or our therapists how to teach our kids to read. You know, maybe you can share a bit in terms of the approach. You know, how you want to start first. The first step is what are the first few steps? Yeah.
Okay. So first few step is just backing up. Okay. First of all, make learning fun.
Yes.
And I think this is sort of a recurrent theme that has been sort of running through all the therapies that you speak to, right?
Yes, in our podcasts.
Even for adult learning also have to make it fun.
100%. Think about you yourself, okay? Would you like to learn when the learning is so boring? So try to put yourself into your child's position, into your child's seat as well. First of all, make learning fun. You got to make learning that's appropriate to them as well. Doesn't mean that everything you see on the shelf is fun for them. Okay, you've got to customize things according to their interests and their age level, or even their learning level. Okay, not just age level. So yeah, that. Okay, so for parents, what we can do is we can start reading with them very early on. So it doesn't matter if it's one-sided. Like as in you don't get any interaction or any responses from your child, just keep on reading, because the whole idea now is exposure. Okay, because kids needs to be exposed to words. So studies say that they need to be exposed 15 to 20 times. A word, they need to be exposed to a word 15 to 20 times before they can actually remember that word and register it to mind. Okay, or even know how it looks like. So exposure. Doesn't matter if it's one-sided. So parents can do that at home. I know parents are very busy, so that's what they can do at home. So for teachers, what they can do is, for a very first step, after a lot of times the teachers will start with teaching them ABC song. So singing the ABC song and all that. Yeah. So just to keep track whether your child gets the sequencing right, and also to see if the child gets the alphabets right. Then don't forget your alphabets, you have the uppercase and you also have the lowercase, right? So just to sort of make sure that they know their letters well. And if they do know their letters, see if they know the sounds of the letters. Okay, when they know the sounds of the letters, see if they can blend the letters, which essentially means can you put the sounds together to form a word? Okay, like at becomes at. Okay, so and then you progress from there. So then after that, you make the word make sense. So for example, if they've already learned the word cat, okay, cat, give a visual cue with it, a picture of a cat. Okay, how can we make this into a sentence, make it meaningful? Can you see cats around? Are there cats around here? Or take out a cat toy or something like that. Okay, so to reinforce your learning. But that's probably the sort of the first few years of introducing a child to reading and writing.
So what I hear is actually we need to let our kids, if can, to let them know the sequence of the alphabets right. That's very important. And I like your version of ABC song.
She's gonna get me to sing it.
If you don't mind.
It's a different kind of song.
It's very similar, but that helps of our kids to not to confuse at the part where the MNNOP. Yeah, Rachel, you want to sing for us?
So yeah, okay. So this is where my music therapy skills can come in. So a lot of times when you hear children singing the ABC song, it'll be elevator B. You hear them rushing through it. And you don't hear the M, neither do you hear the N, right? And then chances are the O is lost somewhere in between, okay? So I normally teach my children to sing this. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, Z. So that's how they sing it.
Thank you.
Entertaining P.
And I really feel that after that, our kids really get the M-N-O-P correctly. If not, a lot of times, because I also have experience teaching in a kindergarten before, M and N is always the problem where our kids to differentiate these two. Yeah, and with that, I think helps a lot. So knowing the sequence is very important. Then after that is actually able to identifying the capital and the lower case, and
alphabet recognition.
And you like to introduce in a mommy, like mommy A and a baby
Wow,
A.
she remembers so much about what I do. I'm so in awe of you and your memory power.
Because that make a big impact in our children. Really, yeah. My team is still doing things like that, like they put A to Z, the capital, we call it the mommy alphabets, and the baby alphabets, we match with it. Yeah, and the small cap, So because Rachel will ask, take the baby A, go and find the mommy A. So then they find it very interesting, like, find the mommy A, find the mommy.
There's a story to this.
Yeah,
how it came about. With every child, I get reskill, upskill, every skill, it's different for every child. So really with every child, it's not just a learning, a learning experience for them. It's a learning experience for me, okay? Because every child is so different. I mean, neurodivergent or not, every child is different, right?
Yeah, correct.
So for me, the way I teach them has to be different as well. So how this came about was because we had a student. After multiple intervention by I think a few different people, couldn't remember his letters, couldn't remember his alphabets. And I'm like, how? Okay, I removed all table learning. We're doing away with table learning. We're learning on the floor, okay? And we're going to move a lot because this child was very active. So that's what we did. Teaching the alphabets. I remembered I actually took blue tack and I stuck alphabets on your wall. Uppercase and lowercase, do you remember?
Yeah.
So as we were walking down the hallway, we would point to each letter and start singing. A, B, C. We'll touch the letter and we'll start singing the letters. A, B, C. And that's how we used to do it. And not only that, I will spread out letters all around the floor, capital and lowercase. Of course, we started with capital first. Let's look for it. Then it went to lowercase, let's look for it. Now let's match it, okay? And then it became, challenge. Okay, let's up it one notch. I started hiding the letters all around the center. Let's look for
treasure hunt.
Yes, let's look for the letters together. The babies need to find their mummies. No, you got to make it interesting for them, okay? Especially if they know that the child is able to identify with mommy. That mommy child having the need to be together. So that's how I sort of utilize on that. So yeah, so that's what we did. It became a game. So that's how it's sort of that mommy and baby finding each other started.
Yeah. And we found that the method is very helpful.
Yeah.
Do you still do that now?
I still do a lot of funny things with my children, yes. For example, I've got one child who likes to move a lot. So then, yes, I still do jump and sing and all that. So it's different from every child. There are some children whereby I can just sit and not having to move or sing or anything like that. So it differs for every child.
Okay. But next time when you do the alphabet one, don't forget the daddy.
Why the daddies want to learn too? Is it? Oh,
Find daddy instead of find mommy.
Daddy letter,
Some
not
is
mommy
daddy
letter.
Oh, I have to remember that. Okay. Don't find the mommy letter, look for the daddy as well.
Then the child find it not interesting.
Daddy, I don't want daddy. Carrie's feeling left out.
Okay. Yeah.
I shall bear that in mind. I'll incorporate it somewhere, the daddy somewhere.
Yeah. Okay. That's very clear, right? We need to know these are the fundamentals. Then after that is the blending, and we notice that blending is a little bit challenging.
Challenging because it comes naturally to some, it doesn't come naturally to some. Yeah. So what happens is that when it doesn't come naturally to some, then it just means that the process becomes a little bit longer. But it doesn't mean that it's not doable. It's doable. So you start with very 2-letter words first before you graduate to 3-letter words. So it's all about the exposure to how the blending is being done. So let's say fast, you know. So sometimes you'll find yourself having to blend, okay, before the child can blend. So you're constantly blending for the child. But after exposure, numerous exposure, they would sort of fall into it as well. Yeah. It's like music, no?
Yeah.
They hear it often enough, they remember the lyrics, like that, no?
Yeah. So I know that's reading, so blending or like reading alphabet sound, all this and reading. So I've experienced working with kids, after they have learned reading, then we notice that it's just mainly decoding. They just read without really understand what's the meaning, especially when we progress from word and then to a sentence, okay, for example. Then with that, comprehension is also so like important. When slowly we want to expose them to like picture comprehension or word comprehension. When they don't understand, then they cannot answer WH questions. They cannot do inferencing. They cannot do more description. Have you got experience working with kids like that? Then
How do you?
what kind of
Okay, so comprehension is the question over here. So essentially, we're teaching language. Language is very hard to teach. We're not teaching math. There's no formulas or whatever, okay? So language is there's just so many things involved. You've got spelling rules, and then somehow the rules don't follow.
everything, right?
Yeah, and then how come this word has a French origin, and then you got to, like, how come it's chef and not caf, or, you know, how come it's cafe and not caf? Again, you know, you've got all sorts of things. So, you know, language, morphology of the language, our English words are all derived from different places, right? So, yes. So then when it comes to comprehension, it's the same as well. How do I make my words meaningful? So again, visual cues very important, especially for children with learning needs. So again, if the word that you're going to teach is, for example, say a bank, okay, bank. You will then have to probably show a picture of a bank. Even better still, take your child to the bank. Okay, incorporate that into their life experience. Okay, make it meaningful for them. Then they see in the bank, what do you do? Or you go to the ATM, maybe you withdraw some money, or maybe you go in to put in some money. Okay, so make this meaningful to them. Okay, look, we are going to the bank now. What do we do in the bank? So you got to make the experience meaningful for them. Then suddenly the word has meaning. Okay, but give another word. Say, for example, what word comes to mind, Sydney, that you have thought? That you need to associate comprehension with it.
Puzzle. I don't know. I'm just
puzzle. Puzzle.
Yeah.
So puzzle is pretty easy, because puzzle is something that is you can just take and say, oh, this is a puzzle. Okay, what is it? It's a puzzle. What are we playing today? It's a puzzle. Okay, it's a jigsaw puzzle, right? Let's put the puzzle pieces together. Okay, something that's easy you can start off with. But if we're talking about words, like for example,
it's an emotion words, for example, embarrassed, like for example. Is that too difficult?
Too difficult. You won't teach embarrassed yet.
Angry is too easy.
Very abstract, even beautiful.
Beautiful?
Yeah.
Adjectives, like.
Yeah, adjectives. Yeah, adjectives. Okay, so for example, like beautiful. Okay, if the child knows what's beautiful, what is beautiful? Is a flower beautiful? It's show different beautiful things. Okay, so what is beautiful? Again, it's one of those things where you just have to expose a lot.
And give meaning to that word.
And comprehension is a lot of asking of questions, actually. It's, by the way, whatever your conversations that you have with your children helps with their comprehension skills. So for example, you take your child to a place, say for example the zoo. Oh, do you know what's the animal called? That's comprehension. What is the name of that animal? Okay. How do you feel after looking at that snake? Scared? That's a how question, isn't it? What do you think of today? Lots of interaction. That's how actually they learn all the WH questions, is when the parents start asking them at home or in whatever setting that the parents take the child to.
Could you share an example of breakthrough or success story from your work so far? I believe you have many. Maybe.
Just picking up from where we left off just now, the child who couldn't recognize alphabets after playing the treasure hunt game and all the singing and all that. Yeah, he's now in year 8. Yeah, I mean he learned how to read and how to write. He's still with me, and I've got another one who's finishing up his degree in business studies overseas. Yeah, when he first came to me at the age of 9, he was in a Chinese school, couldn't string a sentence, as in couldn't write a sentence, but speaks very well. As you know, dyslexics above average intelligence, speaks very well, but couldn't write a sentence. And so it was then that I sat the parent down, and you know, I work very closely with the parent. Okay, so what is it they aspire for your child? Her aspiration for her child was for her child to go into an international school. Okay, then that's fine. What school is he going to? Chinese school. I said, okay, fine. Forget about your Chinese and your Malay. Just work with me for English. And she listened to my advice. She basically removed all the Malay, Chinese tuition. She wasn't so much into him doing well for Chinese and Malay after that. Because she wanted her child to be accepted to an international school. And the language medium is English. You need to be able to have good English to be able to even enter an international school. And he was failing his English then. I didn't have much long to go. I didn't have, basically it was only 2 years? I only had less than 2 years before he goes to international school. So I didn't have a lot of time. So that was my decision, forgo the others. So I worked very closely with the child and also the parent for 2 years. They still had UPSR then. The only A he got was for English. And then anyway, he got accepted to an international school. And now he's finishing up his degree overseas. So yeah, so he successfully completed his IGCSEs. Yeah.
So that actually let me thought of, like, for example, a parents that having a child that's having dyslexic, okay, when they decide on schooling, you know, will our mainstream school a right place for them? Because I don't know, dyslexic kids, are they better in Chinese, or from your experience, you know, can they cope with Chinese? Can they cope with Bahasa and English? Yeah.
So for dyslexics, because it's a language processing problem.
Yes.
It's going to be very hard to cope with 3 languages, especially if you're in a Chinese school, because you got to learn 3 languages. Okay. So in a sekolah kebangsaan, 2 languages, slightly easier. Of course, best if it's only 1 language, right? So again, depending on the child and severity of the dyslexia, parents would have to make the decision. Yes, to a certain extent, it's easier for them to learn Chinese because they see it as a series of pictures. But remember, memory is poor, memory is limited. So you see them doing well. Standard 1, 2, still can cope. 3, standard 3, 4, then you suddenly realize, oh, okay, that's about the extent of the Chinese characters my kid now knows, okay? Struggles. What then? Then that's when they start looking for international schools, okay? Or remedial help, or whatever it is. So yes, so there are some kids who can cope, but the more severe ones, 2 to 3 languages will be tough for them. So that's why, depending on the child, I would then tell the parents, I would then suggest to the parents, perhaps you got to just stick to 1 language. Because don't forget, the phonics for Malay and English is different.
It's different. The Malay comes in, I feel like it just confuses them even more.
It will confuse them.
So it's not because of the language or the school system, but which one is more suitable for the child's
100%.
strength and perhaps their limitation to a certain extent.
100%. Yeah, I believe that education should always be child dependent. Yeah, I've got 2 kids. 2 kids went on very different school and learning pathways. So again, it's because of their interests and their strengths. Yeah.
Okay. I also don't think that if kids with dyslexic cannot go to Chinese school, I also don't think so, because I also saw a few clients that that I recommend to you, and they are already in Chinese school, but because of some intensive learning how to read, immediately they pick up within few months or a year like that, and then they actually once they can read, they have the confidence. I think then they'll slowly pick up the rest of the language gradually.
Yeah, confidence is a big thing. Children, when they have good sort of, they have confidence, when self-esteem is good, the desire to want to learn is also more, you know. So that's why it's so important to keep learning fun, to have them engaged. Because if learning is boring, they're not engaged, response is poor, not much goes in, you see. So that's why parents and teachers alike, we have to keep our learning fun.
That also helped me to also remind the audience, you know, if your child now is maybe 3 years old, 2, 3 years old, you know, really start, like your advice just now,
Start reading
a little bit, so that by 5 years old, we are roughly know, you know, our kids whether they're sensitive with letters and all these things or not, you know. Then in order when you go to Chinese school, at least English is not so much a concern, reading English is not so much a concern. Then more languages come in, I think they are more stable. If when you're year 1, then you only started to learn ABC, you know, and also Chinese, then mathematics and Bahasa, I think
Suddenly overload.
yeah, the child will overload. That's where the mental health concern
That's a very
comes
good
in.
point. I've had a few parents say, oh, but you know, shouldn't early childhood education be fun? It should be a sensory thing, you know, it should be play-based. They have to learn different skills, not academic skills. And then I go, yes, but we have to also be aware of where we are living and our school system in Malaysia. We do not want to put, I mean, it's stressful enough for us when they start primary school. Can you imagine how much more stressful for a child if a child doesn't know how to read and write by the time he or she gets to primary? So we would like, as parents, to sufficiently prepare our children that they will not be overloaded or overwhelmed when they go to primary. Yes. So reading at home from a very young age, doesn't have to start from 3. You can start from the womb, from when the baby is in the womb. You talking to your child in the womb, reading to your child in the womb is already a start. So of course then when the child is able to sort of follow you at the age of 2 or 3, follow you as to what you're reading, you know, probably point to the words as you're reading the words, then yes, then it becomes a whole lot more interactive, which is awesome.
How many minutes a day that a parent should read to our kids?
Okay, depending on age as
I
well.
think our parents is very busy, so they would prefer your advice is very precise, maybe. So that at least they don't achieve this amount, at least they achieve certain amount, not too bad.
Yeah, so in terms of when we say reading, okay, I'm talking about bedtime reading over here. So before bedtime, why don't you start off with 5 minutes first? Just a very short book. You know, books for young readers, at most is 1 sentence per page. You can go through it very fast because it's more pictures than there are words, okay? So just go through that book 5 minutes at most. And then if you see that the child is able to sit for longer, then you progress 5 to 10 minutes. But the key to it is consistency.
Yeah.
You've got to make it consistent, okay? So while you're developing now a routine or also a habit, what you're doing is not just teaching your child the words. You're also teaching your child a certain discipline, right? And also a healthy habit, right? So maybe to wind down, they reach for a book instead of reaching for an iPad or a phone. You're also teaching that. You're also doing bonding with your child. So it's not just about reading time, okay? It's you unwinding yourself as well, okay? Not just a child unwinding himself or herself. Yeah, and you're also teaching a love for books, a love for learning, okay?
And not scared of books.
Yeah, not be scared of
or
books.
dislike.
Yeah, and you're also, what you're doing is you're arousing curiosity in your child. Okay, so as you're reading, you're not just reading, you're interacting, right? Oh, what's this picture? What's this character doing? So it's a lot of that as well. Comprehension skills is being built. Yeah, so it's just a lot of that in that 1 session of reading. Now, reading can also go beyond the bedroom, right? You can be in a car, for example, you tell a child, you just pretend, okay, you can't see the number plate in front of you. Okay, you just pretend. You tell a child, oh, mommy can't see very well. Can you read what's the number plate in front of, on that car in front of us? That's also reading out what they see, right? Or the signboards. Hey, what does that signboard say? So reading can take place anytime in whatever form. Yeah, so yeah, not just limited to school and classroom. and bedroom.
I think just to add on a little bit, I also I totally agree with what Rachel has shared, and I also think that progress sometimes don't have to be like today I read 5 minutes or 1 page or 2 page or finishing a book to every day. But I think progress also can be on a child willing to read with you. That can also be a good
100%.
progress, or even the kid or the child or you or yourself no longer believes that, oh, I'm just a bad reader. Even with that change can also be counted as a progress.
100%. So as parents or educators, sometimes we feel like, this reading is just one-sided. It's just me reading to the child. I don't see any response, or there's no two-way interaction. But keep going at it, because you never know what the child is actually downloading and absorbing. So sometimes it surprises you, right? So suddenly you point to a word and then the child reads it out to you aloud. How do you know this word? You get taken aback. Because he or she has been exposed to the word thanks to you. Remember, there has to be a certain number of exposure to the word before he or she remembers the word. So if you don't pick up the boat and expose your child to a word, then yes, that's when learning becomes very challenging to that child later on in stage. Yeah.
I think it's also about the expectation parents have. If let's say I expect that after I read 3 times, then the child will repeat after me. When it doesn't happen, then we might have a tendency to say that, oh, this effort is actually not working. And then we might run a risk of stopping too soon. Alright? And if we know that the expectation is you just do it because eventually this will somehow every day go in 1%, then 100 days later maybe you have the 100% of it absorbed, then we will continue to do it, and perhaps also strengthened by knowing why this is important and how it helps, then we might actually stick true to the new habit, even though it's appear a little bit one-sided from the beginning.
Yeah, you're right, Kevin. So you can also gauge whether your child likes or enjoys the book or not, right? As you're reading the book to your child. So if you find that the attention is a bit waning, you can always introduce other books as well. You don't stick to that one book for like 3 months.
Maximize the value of the book.
From a financial planner.
And at a later period, at a later time, you can bring that book back so it's not wasted. You can vary your reading materials. It doesn't have to be a traditional book, okay? It doesn't have to be Ladybird or Enid Blyton or whatever. You can vary your reading materials. It can also be a cookbook. Why not? If your child likes food, is interested in maybe culinary, why not? There are words on the book too. It can be a poster. It doesn't have to be a book per se, is what I'm trying to say. It just has to be a reading material where the child is able to download something of it. As long as there are words, it becomes a reading material.
Okay. One more thing I would like to ask. I know our conversation evolved around a lot on reading, but just now in the start, Rachel also talked about reading, spelling, and also writing. I have a question about writing. So I know that some of my clients, they really struggle with writing. Sometimes when they write, it could be an opposite way, coming to not recognizing words or don't know how to copy. Would you have any strategies or any experience working with kids like that, and how would you advise parents if how to help them in terms of writing?
Okay, so the question would be, most commonly presented would be your B and your Ds. So I think Carmen knows my strategy for this. I go like that. So you got to give bear in mind, right? We are working with kids over here, and sometimes they're confused, they're overwhelmed. Sensories are overloaded, and then in your classroom, right, you don't expect to suddenly take up a learning aid or something to help them. Just utilize what they have, which is their fingers. So you go like that, BD. So oftentimes my students will do this under the table because they don't want their fellow peers to see. This is B, this is D.
So BD.
BD. I say you don't want people to notice that you're doing it. So it's okay, you just draw it out. You draw the B, you draw it to D, So D is always your left, D is always your right. You know what? This is P and Q. So you got to think of very creative ways for our children to learn. But these BDs, your letter reversal, sometimes your mirror writing can carry on until the age of 8 in all children. not just children with learning problems, okay, in all children. Again, writing is one of those things that it takes practice. Yeah, it takes practice. Yeah. So the more they write, the easier it will be for them.
Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I like the idea. Yes, BD and like this is P and Q. Yeah. All right, so we have come to the end of the podcast. Really appreciate Rachel your time and your advice. If you could share one message to encourage our audience here, what would it be?
Okay, so just to encourage parents, I think parents, you have to know and that you're all doing a good job. Really. So a pat on your back. Be kind to yourselves. Yeah, don't be so hard on yourselves. As parents, because I'm a parent myself, so I understand. Whatever decision we make, okay, whether it's schooling, eating, even bringing the child where to go for a holiday, we are always going to second guess ourselves whether that decision is the right decision or not. It's going to be a lifelong thing. Okay, so be kind to yourself. The thing about this is that you got to be very realistic, practical. If let's say you make a decision, say for example, you read this book, wasn't a very good book, the child didn't quite like it, it's okay, we change. Yeah, go back to the drawing board and then we try something else again. So parenting is like that long. It's a constant hit and miss, trial and error. So yes, so just be very kind to yourself and just know that if something doesn't work out, it's okay. We go back to the drawing board, then we plan again. We execute again, go back to the drawing board, execute again.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be a series of that.
Yeah, because a lot of parents will just give up maybe just 1-2 times because the kid just the child doesn't like that book. Just because of that, then they give up, and it's so sad, you know, that just because of that particular book, you know, so it's not exposed enough to different materials.
So okay lah, we hope that this episode helps parents and caregivers to be more aware that the ability to read in children, especially maybe children who are on the spectrum, sometimes we cannot get the feedback from them, and we might not understand that they actually face challenges in reading. And reading is a skill that will enhance the quality of life of the child. So if we just hope that this episode gives you more input and information so that you can spot certain red flags that maybe your child would require support in terms of cultivating or overcoming the challenges they have in learning how to read, then that you can at least look for the right support and help. That's all we can ever hope for. And thank you very much to Rachel. Next time, remember the daddy alphabet. Thank you so much. Bye bye.